In this TrailRecon adventure, I'm charged with leading a convoy with some great folks on a trek over 1,000 miles north to Oregon for the Overland Expo. I've spent many hours planning and pre-running this route in hopes that everyone will thoroughly enjoy the great stops along the way, the breathtaking scenic trails on our route, and what I think are some of the best campsites I've ever discovered. Fingers crossed, everyone has a great time and things go as planned. Regina and I just traveled 425 miles to meet up with some old friends and some new ones. And over the next 3 days, we're going to be traveling to Oregon for Overland Expo and having an awesome adventure. We're going to go see some cool historic places like this ghost town right behind me. We're going to go do some wheeling and some camping. This is going to be an awesome 3 days. Let's go check out this ghost town and then we're going to go find some camp. This is the Bodie Ghost Town and is located 7 miles south of Bridgeport, California, and about 12 miles north of Highway 395, where you'll reach what's left of this old rustic town that began life during the gold rush back in the 1870s and continued to operate until 1942. This now historic landmark is managed by the State Park Service, so there is a small fee to enter, but well worth it. No one in our group had ever visited Bodhi before, so we were all filled with excitement to see what we might find. When we entered the town, we were quickly thrown back into the 19th century and amazed at how well preserved this town is. There are only about 5% of the buildings remaining here, but the Park Service is continually restoring the many years of decay the elements have taken on this town. Bodhi had a population of over 7,000 in its heyday, as several gold miners were striking it rich in the area. As the town began to thrive in the early 1870s to the late 1880s, many homes were built, a lumber mill where you can still see the old rusted blade that they used, a mortuary, which is still kind of creepy even in the daylight here, a large schoolhouse that still has the desks and chalkboard on display that the kids would have used, a small bank where you could see the old vault stuck in the back, and 9 stamp mills were built to process the ore being extracted from the mines. There were also 2 churches. One is still standing just at the entrance today, and there were 60 saloons to cater to those that had settled here. This town did get a reputation for being a bit rough and wild, and probably why there is such a disproportionate church to saloon ratio. As we walked around, we were fascinated by the buildings, but also the period-correct artifacts we discovered when peeking through the windows. It really was like traveling back in time and had us all talking about what it must have been like back then. There is a small museum within the center of town with an assortment of items that were left here. The old medical equipment caught my attention, and these old hearse wagons were really well preserved. As the gold claims began to dry up by the turn of the century, the town population quickly started to decline, and by 1942, most of the businesses had closed and only a few settlers remained. Because of the many miles we were traveling on this adventure, I almost wasn't able to include this stop along our trip, but I'm so glad I did, and what a great way to kick it off. Everyone seemed to love it. Let me introduce you to the vehicles and the folks that are joining Regina and I on this adventure. We have Tim and his lovely wife, Carrie, in their Ford F250. Tim is a good friend from BF Goodrich. My buddy Randy and his co-pilot Jacob from KC Highlights are in their Jeep Gladiator. Tom and Scott from Medical Points Abroad driving a well-built Toyota Tacoma and a Ram Power Wagon, also towing a trailer. And Regina and I are in the Jeep Wrangler 392 with the Patriot Campers trailer in tow. It's a great mix of vehicles we have on this adventure, and with this group of folks, I think we're going to have a great time. Now, it's already getting late in the afternoon, and I need to get the convoy back on the move so we can find a good camp spot to set up before the sun goes down, cook us some dinner, and just unwind a little. Because we are a large group with a few trailers, finding a campsite large enough to accommodate us all could be a challenge. I've got a few potential spots up in the mountains about an hour away that I've got in mind, and if we're lucky, there won't be anybody there. All right, well, we found our camp spot for the night, and it's actually perfect for this many vehicles with this many trailers. It's nice and flat, big open area. We're able to circle everything around. We can set up the chairs and the fire pit there. The only thing is we are really close to the water, which is awesome because we can walk down, and we'll check it out later, but there's a river down there and there's actually a lake over there. We'll go take a look at that. But the minute we got out of the vehicle, the mosquitoes were swarming, and the first thing we did was just throw on some bug spray, all of us. It was pretty bad, but now it seems to have died down. There's a little bit of wind, but this is a great spot. I think this is going to be perfect for the evening and in the morning. These guys over here are getting a little propane generator trying to start because their battery in their trailer is low, so they're going to get that going. They tried getting some solar going down there. Regina's over there setting up her privacy tent, and everybody's going to get dinner going here pretty soon, and we'll walk around and check out everybody's camp spots, but this is going to be a great spot. Is that like a Blackstone?
Yes.
Nice, that's big.
Blackstone Adventure. I think it's the 20, it's either the 17 or the 22. I think it's the 22.
What are you cooking up?
Yeah, so we got some smash burgers going on.
Ah, there you go.
Yep.
I have to admit, at the start of the day, I was a little anxious about how things would turn out, but my mind was now at ease after having a great day exploring the old ghost town, having found this perfect camp spot for the group, and seeing the smiles on everyone's faces. My planning for day one seems to have paid off. Everyone was starting to cook up dinner, and while some were getting fancy, others were just keeping it simple. Nothing wrong with that. Randy!
Yes, sir.
Buddy, I'm proud of you. You're not having cold cheeseburgers for dinner.
No, I'm not. I'm having Mountain House meals.
Beef stew, and somebody's having breakfast for dinner.
That's me.
That's awesome.
Breakfast all the time.
That's awesome, dude. I'm glad to see you cooking. We're going to have probably leftovers, so we'll share. All right, hon, how's our campsite?
It's beautiful.
Nice.
Now that we've applied all the DEET.
Yes, it was necessary. There was quite a few bugs. What's for dinner?
Deconstructed bangers and mash.
What does that mean, deconstructed?
So I'm basically gonna slice the sausages into bite-sized pieces and make the gravy with it to put over the mashed potatoes.
Okay, sounds good.
It's been a long day on the road, but I really, really love the stop to check out the ghost town at Bodhi. I'm a huge history buff, and the extra time spent exploring the past, seeing the remnants of lives gone by, was so worth it. I can't wait to go back. Now that we're at camp, I have to say this place makes a pretty spectacular place for a kitchen. And I'm sure the mosquitoes would agree, since I seem to be a walking buffet for them. I'm always looking for new recipes to try, especially ones that are a new take on an old favorite, like bangers and mash. This hearty stick-to-your-gut meal is pretty basic, with just a few simple ingredients: heavy cream, potatoes, garlic, onions, brats, and a really dark beer for a rich and delicious gravy. I thought this was going to be a quick and easy recipe, but I totally underestimated how long it would take the potatoes to boil on a camp stove. Oops. We were the last folks at camp to eat dinner. Lesson learned, either parboil the potatoes or just mash them in advance. Even so, it was worth the wait.
Recipe keeper, but maybe any way of picking it up.
That dinner was fantastic, and it was nice to finally sit down, relax, and unwind a little bit. On the other side of camp, there were some savory smash burgers on the griddle, along with some hash browns and bacon. You can't ever go wrong with that combination. Randy and Jacob seem to be enjoying their dinner as well. And don't worry, we offered to share our dinners with them. Well, Well, dinner was awesome. Now, of course, I have dish duty, which is fine. It's my job. It was really, really a good meal. Good hearty meal. It was hot because it's getting chilly. I've already put a sweatshirt on. I think I'm going to put a jacket on. I think Virginia's in there putting on her long johns. We got the fires going. Temperatures dropped quite a bit, but what a great camp spot. I mean, to have this many vehicles, all the trailers in a nice wide open flat area like this, and the river's right there and the trees, this is a great spot. And what an awesome day. I mean, we put in a lot of miles on the road, but to get out to that ghost town was absolutely worth it. That far exceeded my expectations. I'd done a little bit of research on there, but that place was awesome. It's massive. If you get the opportunity to go out there, you definitely need to check it out. I think it's a place we'll be going back to because we didn't get to see all of it today, so we'll go back again, which is pretty cool. So tomorrow, we're going to get up bright and early and keep heading north, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we make it into Oregon, and again, like Nether River will be right next to our campsite. We'll see. As the sun went down and the temperature began to drop, we settled in around the campfire, telling stories, reminiscing about our day, and enjoying each other's company way too late into the night. It's been a beautiful morning, and this is a great campsite for this size group right on the river. It's been perfect. However, we're not going to spend much time here because we have to put in a lot of road miles today to work our way up to Oregon. So we're packing up and we are heading out of here, and fingers crossed tonight we will be on the Klamath River. This is a route that I scouted about a month ago. It's a nice little trail to get in there, super beautiful and scenic, and if we're lucky, we'll have this campsite that I have planned all to ourselves. It's a weekday and I think we'll be lucky to do it. And then tonight should be another great evening around the campfire. And there's a few things at camp tonight I want to show you on some of these guys' rigs. This is a great group of folks. We've had an awesome time, but we gotta go. We gotta hit the road. We have about 380 miles to the north we need to cover today, so we will be putting in a lot of highway miles as there really is no dirt overland route leading from Northern California to Southern Oregon. But that's okay. We are at least going to take the scenic route. Our first stop before we start laying down the many miles is the historic town of Bridgeport, which is a charming small town known for being a stop for those needing to stock up on supplies before heading to the many lakes and rivers in the area for some trout fishing. We needed to fill up these thirsty rigs before continuing on, but there was a bit of sticker shock at the gas pump. I think in the future I may have to pass up this fuel stop. Ouch. Now we will be spending most of the day on the scenic 395 highway. It is one of the most beautiful drives in California, with the landscape changing several times along the route. If you've never traveled along the 395, I encourage you to add it to your overland bucket list. You can spend weeks exploring all the trails, small towns, historic destinations, and you're going to find some great campsites along this route. There are still many places out here I intend to explore in the future. Just a few miles south of the Oregon state line, I found a trail just off the highway that ended up making the perfect spot for lunch. This was a much needed break for us to get out and stretch our legs, grab a bite to eat after driving so long thus far.
I'm actually making a sandwich today. And no, there's no pork rinds.
This lunch spot okay, guys?
Yeah, it's
Lunch spot's perfect.
Yeah, and
Beautiful view.
Yeah. What's for lunch?
We're doing fancy schmancy charcuterie boards.
Yeah, you guys are
adult
fancy.
Lunchables.
Nice.
That's what we call them.
Nice. You're making all the sandwich folks look bad.
This really did turn out to be a nice random spot to stop for lunch and stretch our legs. And so far, the day had been going just as planned, and we were making pretty good time. When I was initially planning this trip, I had really wanted to add in a special stop along this leg, similar to the Bodie Ghost Town, just to allow us a small break, see something interesting, but today's schedule just couldn't accommodate it and still get us to camp before dark. Once we crossed over into Oregon, though, it was just a bit further until we were finally at the trailhead where we would finally put these rigs back on the dirt again. It has been a very long day on the road. It is just about 5 o'clock and we finally made it to Oregon, and we are at the trailhead, which is going to lead us down to the Klamath River and hopefully to some nice campsites. Now, I have pre-ran this about a month ago and I marked several campsites that are out here, but there are only a couple that are going to accommodate our size group, and fingers crossed, it's a weekday. Hopefully we'll get right there and have no problems. But right now we're going to air down because this road does get a little rough. And then, man, just wait guys, there's some beautiful scenic views on the way down. This trail we are now on follows tightly along the Klamath River through the beautiful pine forest with many elevation changes along the way, and the views, they're absolutely incredible. I spent 2 full days out here last month exploring trails on both the east and west side of the river and marking lots of potential camping locations for this trip specifically. This place is truly a hidden gem, and I could have easily spent another couple days out here. My hope is today, the primary campsite that I want to take everyone to is still available. Well, check it out, everyone. We found an amazing campsite right on the Klamath River. Now, this is an actual dispersed campground, but there's nobody here. We have this entire place to ourselves, and the good news is we were able to fit all the vehicles. We probably could have squeezed a couple more in here. So, KC crew, Randy and Jacob are right over there. They've got a nice level spot. We could have brought in another vehicle there. Regina and I are right here. Tim and his wife Carrie have a great spot. We had to level them out there, but no problem. They're working on dinner. Guys, the campsite's okay?
Amazing.
Perfect. And then we squeezed Scott and Tom back here, back to back, and that works perfectly. So we have, guys, we just have an amazing campsite. I mean, look at the Klamath River. Beautiful. We're all set up. Folks are getting dinner ready, so it's going to be an amazing night.
I absolutely love the Pacific Northwest. It's my happy place, and the view from my camp kitchen is breathtaking. There's just something soul-soothing about being surrounded by towering evergreens, breathing in the scent of pine and fresh water, and listening to the rush of the river. I think, for tonight at least, I have the prettiest kitchen in the world.
All right, hon. Smells good. What are you making?
I am making a chicken and ale pot pie. So I'm starting it all here, and then I'm going to use the Omnia stovetop to put the biscuit topping, which will be the, I guess, pie portion of it. So.
All right. Well, it already smells really, really good.
Thank you.
I love dishes that combine your protein, veggies, and carbs because it makes both prep and cleanup relatively easy. And unlike last night, I came prepared with several shortcuts for tonight's dinner, including rotisserie chicken that I pulled apart at home and prepared refrigerated biscuits for my pot pie topping, even though opening the can gets me every single time. It seems my recipes so far are a variation on two things: hearty, stick-to-your-gut food, and beer, because I'm using a nice IPA tonight to make gravy for this one. And I'm totally digging my Omnia stovetop oven because seriously, having an oven at camp is a cooking miracle.
Well, that looks like a whole lot of tasty goodness right there. What is that?
It is zucchini, squash, mushrooms, onion, a little olive oil, and some sea salt. We're gonna wrap this thing up. That should be perfect. And then we'll grill that up. Then we got potatoes and steak to go with it.
Tonight, there were seriously some incredible smells of delicious food being cooked up all around camp. We really are a bunch of foodies with an overland hobby. Well, except for Randy and Jacob. They were determined to eat their rehydrated meals. That's what they packed, and I think they felt obligated to cook them up. But we all had plenty of extra food to share, so they still ate pretty well. And I can't overstate this. Regina's pot pie that she cooked on a camping stove? What? One of my new favorite camp meals that she's made. So good. Hanging out with everyone at dinner along this river, it doesn't get much better than this. I had noticed that Tom has been using Starlink on this trip, and I just had to ask him about it. I'm extremely curious about it. So Tom, I saw you using the Starlink yesterday. You're setting it up again at camp. Right. Dude, I'm super interested, but I know there's a lot of other people that are interested. Can you tell us, one, why you got it, and two, is it working for you?
So I got it because I do a lot of work on the road, and obviously I like overlanding and going off-road, so sometimes I like to go places and not work out of my home office.
Yeah.
Once the Starlink made the RV version available to allow you to travel with it, it was kind of a no-brainer to pick up. A lot of the places I've tried to go, you know, try to look at the cell phone maps and make sure that there's coverage, so I at least have something.
Yeah.
Now that I have this, it kind of untethers me from having to go deeper in places.
So last night and this morning, you were full on, full service.
Yeah, we were getting 123 megawatts down, and I think 14 up.
Yeah.
Which is pretty incredible considering there was no service of any kind out there.
And now it's not quite as efficient because we got some trees that we're working on.
Yeah, so it does have to have clear view of the sky, and unfortunately I think the satellites are probably off to this direction here where we've got a lot of tree coverage. So you know, it's possible the constellations will cook over and we'll pick up some signal here in a bit.
Right on, man. Well, thank you for sharing. It's super cool. I know a lot of people are very interested in it.
Yeah.
I think Starlink is extremely fascinating, and I think it's going to be a big asset to many folks out there. Now, as the sun set behind the mountains, the trout in the river became very active. I can't believe, once again, I'm without a fishing pole in a place like this. I'll bet I could have caught a dozen in this spot. With the dishes all cleaned up and another epic day coming to an end, we all huddled around the campfire, and while some of us have only recently met, this trip has already brought us close together, and you'd think we'd all been friends for many years. What a great group on this trip.
Not ever, but I have a hard time going back to like a wood fire after this thing.
That's what I'm saying. They're gonna resend it right there. Straight. Is this organic?
Totally. Completely healthy.
Oh, there's gluten in this.
I gotta tell you, these sausage and cheese biscuits that Regina made for breakfast this morning, oh, they smell so good, but they taste amazing. I love that she's figured out how to bake stuff like this at camp. This is awesome. Everybody has really enjoyed it. And what a great morning. We've had a little bit more relaxing morning just because we're such a great spot, soaking up the river, but we do have to pack up and start making our way north. We got about 3 hours to go to get to Overland Expo. We're gonna spend the next few days just hanging out and enjoying all the manufacturers and all the folks that are gonna be camping out there. It should be a great event. This adventure was a lot of work to put this all together, and a lot of scouting and a lot of tracking routes and marking camping waypoints. And I think it turned out really well. I think everybody's pretty happy with how this is. So now I can breathe a little easier. It was a good success. We're gonna pack up, head out of here, guys. I hope you have enjoyed hanging out with us in this adventure. Make sure you check us out over at TrailRecon.com and try baking at camp next time you're out there. These are delicious. We'll see you guys in the next video.